Hello again, traders, and welcome back to the Hot Stocks Outlook for August 23rd, 2024. I hope y'all have had an excellent week out there in the financial markets. And as always, we're going to take a look at the most recent VantagePoint predictive forecast. So if you haven't already, make sure you go ahead and click on the link in the description below. And you can sign up for a live demonstration to learn all the specifics about how these predictive tools based on artificial intelligence are helping traders make better trading decisions out there in the marketplace. And so what we can do is we'll go ahead and start out with actually looking at the SPY so we can get a sense of where the broader marketplace has been. And we've seen a lot of strength recently, right? So we had that big sell-off and move lower in prices, but we're actually moving up almost about 17.5, almost to those all-time highs again. When we really take into account where we've been over the past 30 days, we're pretty much sideways. But again, we are starting to see markets perk up and do better. And this is where VantagePoint can help traders identify, well, that strength coming in and where to exploit some of that. So what we can do is start out here with shares of Abbvie. And so this is a really good opportunity when we look at all of these trading days, right? So each one of these candles that you see on the chart, that's going to represent a full and complete trading day. And it's right up against all that price data that the first thing that'll stand out there is there's a black line and a blue line value. Now, the black line value that you see here is a simple moving average. So this is a very common technical analysis indicator. And what it does in this case is it looks back at the previous 10 close prices and it'll add those all together and then divide by 10. And so a lot of the weakness with traditional technical analysis like this is that, well, all of the data to generate this comes from the past, right? So it's really just lagging behind what's already occurred. And it also only has the ability to look at one market at a time. And most technical indicators really just do that. They're just concerned with how Abbvie is trading, but not necessarily factoring in other markets that can drive and influence future price. And so what VantagePoint's able to do is we're able to compare that black line value to this blue line. And you can think of this as a prediction of prices moving forward. But for this value to get calculated and plotted on the chart, well, this is where the technology of artificial neural networks are coming into play. And they're performing what we would call intermarket analysis. And so what that means is we're able to understand markets that are known to drive and influence the future price of whatever the target market is that you're trading. So in this case, Abbvie, that could be things like the bigger ETFs like the SPY and potentially the Qs, potentially some biotech ETFs, but it's also able to look at very subtle relationships between individual stocks, right? So this is where traders aren't able to really understand the importance of some of these relationships, but it even goes further, looking at things like the value of the dollar index or interest rates, as well as global commodities that may affect that target market that you might be trading, right? Especially if you're trading, gold mining stocks or copper mining. These all have a very important effect. And so it takes this global approach looking at all of these intermarket relationships and using that as the data set to generate highly accurate price predictions for the future. So whenever we see this blue line cross above the black line, what's suggesting average prices are going to start moving higher, and traders may want to look to go ahead and take a long position in the market. And we see as long as that blue line remains above the black line, the overall trend here is up. You see we've gotten about a 16% rally over the past 31 trading days here in shares of Abbvie. But that's not the entirety of the forecast, right? So if we look at the very bottom of the chart, you'll see this bar that goes from green to red, back to green. And this is called the VantagePoint Predicted Neural Index. And what it's doing is it's updating every single trading day and letting traders know about short-term strength or weakness in the market over the next 48 hours. Or you could think of that as really a couple of candles. And so this is where traders can combine a lot of these predictive indicators all the way down to our predicted trading range, which we'll go ahead and take a look at as well, to make better decisions on what their expectations are for the market. So again, as long as that blue line remains above the black line, you'll notice periods where this neural index goes bearish, but overall, you see you tend to get sometimes some weakness over the subsequent couple of trading days. But overall, this indicator has an accuracy in excess of 80%. And so consistently, it's going to skew in that direction where momentum is picking up in the market. That's really what we often see is as that neural index gets green in an uptrend, you see a lot of that momentum pick up. Now, lastly, you're provided a predicted high and a predicted low. So an actual trading range for the upcoming trading day. And when we go back and look at how accurate all of those predictions are, well, you can see just in this past week, if you've identified a market that's in an uptrend that you may want to trade, you have all of these levels coming through to help guide you as far as where that market's likely to trade, both on the lower end to potentially set some limit orders and get involved in a buying situation, but also where to take profit as the market moves higher, and then you see cooling back once we hit those daily predicted highs. So again, really nice opportunity. We've seen, again, a lot of strength in the market. Obviously, this stock has been in an uptrend really all through that weakness, right? So even as we get a little bit volatility in the market, that blue line remains healthily above the black line, and the overall trend resumes for that 16% rally. Here's shares of eBay, a little bit more volatility in this market, right? But we see very similar case here where the blue line is crossed above the black line. Here you'll notice your neural index goes from green to red, back to green, but notice when it goes to red, we end up getting these sideways consolidation periods, that subsequent short-term weakness in the market, but we never actually get that blue line crossing below the black line, and actually leads to a really nice rally this past week. So again, we can look at all those predicted high and low ranges, and you see a little bit of noise coming through. These are actually our earnings markers to let us know earnings coming up. You get all that volatility, which is pretty typical around earnings, but look how quickly the software does a good job of getting back online and saying, look, be prepared for these predicted highs and lows to swing around. But if you want to be a buyer, make sure you get those entries down at those predicted lows, and that market starts to trend higher. So really nice move here very recently in shares of eBay. Overall, a nice move of about 8% just over the past 19 trading days. So really right going into the beginning of August, seeing that strength start to pick up generally in the market, but also in these areas where those predicted forecasts are bullish. Here's shares of Quest Diagnostics. So a very similar situation. We get that blue line crossing above the black line, neural index bullish going into this move. But you'll notice that when the neural index gets bearish, again, you get those subsequent 48 hours of weakness, right? The market trading down towards the VantagePoint predicted lows. But clearly here, that blue line is very solidly above the black line. So as long as that remains, the overall trend is up. And we can go ahead and take advantage of some of those opportunities. So about a 5% move there overall in the shares of Quest. But again, we can look at these predicted highs and lows. And so even as we get a lot of this volatility coming into the market, look how well these values do it, saying look down towards these predicted lows to participate in that bullish side of the marketplace. Here's shares of Extra Space Storage. That's a very straightforward forecast. And again, it really highlights that what we want to identify here is seeing that trend to the bullish side, but also seeing that neural index keeps skewing to the bullish side as well, indicating that, look, expect some subsequent strength over the next 48 hours. You notice how the market keeps crawling higher and higher each and every day. So very, very bullish forecast here. But of course, if we want to bring this down to very, very short term, well, where intraday are traders looking to potentially take a position? And so really nice opportunities here as the market starts to move higher. But we can look at all these days. I mean, here you have a predicted low value you see up here in the left-hand corner of 162.45. The actual low was 162.35. Here we go a little bit deeper here. You see a predicted low 166.37. You get a low 165.16, and the market closes near that predicted low. Again here, predicted low 165.24, 165.17. 168.23, predicted low 167.58 here. So really getting nice entries, especially in a high price stock, pretty much within $1 as far as figuring out where that low's coming in before the resumption of the move. So even here in just the last couple of days with a lot of this strength coming in the broader marketplace, it's about a 3% cushion on a potentially new opportunity going into this week here. So lastly, let's take a look at Northrop Grumman. So even through a lot of that volatility, this is one of the areas where we'd identified a lot of just persistent strength. And while you may want to hedge the portfolio or maybe even take some short positions to balance things out, well, here in Northrop Grumman, again, you see that there's just been strength across the board. And so as we look at the most recent predictive forecast, well, what have we seen is a lot of strength as far as trend, a lot of strength as far as the neural index. And of course, that lends itself to, as a shorter term trader might, looking towards these very short term levels to get an excellent entry. In the past couple of weeks, here's a great example of this, is moving to predicted low, next day hitting that predicted high. Again, you get it here. Again, you get it here, eventually getting to either of these predicted highs, it looks like. But again, offering those particular levels to come in, minimize the risk in the overall trade, but get your self-exposure to a lot of these markets that are trending very well. So we see here about a 17% rally just in the past 27 trading days here on Northrop Grumman, offering up some really nice opportunities for traders, whether you're a long-term swing trader or potentially shorter-term day trader, or maybe even shorter-term weekly options and things like that. So We'll go ahead and leave it there for today. But once again, this has been our Hot Stocks Outlook for August 23rd, 2024. Thank you all for watching. Best of luck and bye for now.